Afade Guam, and welcome to Exposé. Julius Caesar Santos here. I haven't put out an episode in a while. I wanted to take a break over the holidays, and then that turned into me thinking about the show and what kind of topics I wanted to discuss. I did a reflection on looking at the topics I was discussing, and I guess I really was just, what's the word I'm looking for? Critiquing the heck out of myself. And I realized that I was trying too much to please you, and not that that's a bad thing. The show should be entertaining, it should be engaging, it should be interesting. Of course, I want to provide topics that are relevant to the community and to the issues that we face today. And with that, I was trying to be someone that I thought you wanted me to be, or you expected me to be, with respect to the fact that I used to be a malfunction boy. And it comes up from time to time. It's like, oh, people don't take you seriously. They still remember you as malfunction. And when I was a lot younger, that not necessarily offended me. It frustrated me. But now I kind of grown to accept it, and that's fine. Some people may never see me in the light where they can take me seriously in things that I say. But I should not take offense to that. There's nothing wrong with that. If anything, it's because of my own doing. And there's nothing wrong with malfunction. One of the best times in my life, working with Chris Barnett and Andy Wheeler, working with a team like that, I don't think I'll ever find and work with another team like that again in my life. Not to say that I won't enjoy, I would say, adventures in career like that again, maybe just on different levels, right? As a matter of fact, just yesterday, somebody asked me why we didn't continue to do what we did. And my instinctual response was, we couldn't do it forever. And I don't think it should go on forever, because then it'll lose that... I wish there was a Chamorro version for this, and there probably is, but that je ne sais quoi, that thing that made it what it was, that the magic of malfunction. And it's legendary to me in that respect. The things that we did were crazy. And as I thought about that, these are things that I actually thought about when I was thinking about the show Exposé. I asked myself, well, what made us so, what was so galvanizing about malfunction and malfunction boys and what we did? And I finally realized, and whether this is the right or wrong answer, is that we were one of the people then, and we actually had a platform to express ourselves, to express how we were experiencing the state of the island during that time. And albeit we were controversial, because we were so outspoken and critical of what was happening in the government, our message clearly resonated with the island. And this is based on the empirical data at the time, because our owners were doing surveys every quarter, right? It was part of the contract, our contract. And so as we were seeing the numbers, we just could not believe how many people were either saying, yes, continue what you're doing, or we hate you, but we're going to listen to you anyway. And that's one thing we learned in entertainment, and anybody getting into entertainment, always expect people to criticize what you do and to not like what you do and to say nasty things about you, because you'll never be able to please everybody. And that's kind of cliche, but it's so true. However, in the world of entertainment, or even in media, if you're being a serious journalist, you'll always have harsh critics, and that is fine, For one, they're still clearly reading your work or listening to what you have to say, so it adds to your ratings. Or two, you at least will be able to hear perspectives from another, or opinions from another perspective, whether they're nasty or whether they're kind. It's important that we hear that. And that's one of the reasons why I started this show. But let me just get back to the fact. So malfunction, when I was with a part of malfunction, our voice resonated with the community. Why was that? Because we were one of the people. We were just lucky enough to have a platform to express ourselves. We chose comedy, and we were such a great team that we were able to produce this these magical pieces of work. Over 400 individual malfunction skits, and then I realized, so why am I trying to be this guy on Exposé? I just need to be Julius, and be one of the people. And so a big part of that is being able to listen to what everybody has to say, because I have this platform. I'm utilizing this platform to send out messages to you, my audience. And so it's important, again, that we are able to sit down and have discussions. We don't need to like each other. We don't need to like the opinions that the other has. However, if we want to improve our island, considering the chaos that we're in right now, and I don't mean that to be negative to anyone in any position, I just mean that there is a clear difference in what certain people want. And at the end of the day, it's the people's work that they're trying to do, regardless of what side they're on. And for myself, I'm not speaking for the community. I try to honestly believe that each individual who is trying to provide a solution for our current issues genuinely wants things to be better for the people of Guam. For those of you who disagree, it might be difficult for those of you who disagree with either side, either proposed solution, it may be difficult for you to believe that they have the best interest, because when we don't agree with somebody's opinion, we're only focusing on the negative aspects of the proposed solution, and we're only focusing on the potential negative effects that they may have. And it makes it difficult for us to focus on what they believe the positive will be. And so I'm trying not to preach to the choir, but we all deserve that common courtesy and that common consideration to at least listen to the other side. Some people say we all deserve respect, and I'll go out on a limb and say, no, we don't, because respect is something that is earned. And if we all deserve respect, then what value does that word have? I'm not saying to be disrespectful, right? Because we all deserve common courtesy and consideration. And part of that is to listen to what the other person has to say. I had that epiphany. I need to stop trying to be this person who I think my audience wants me to be, so that they can take me seriously. I'll be myself, take me seriously or not. This is the message I'm trying to send, and I invite anyone who wants to come onto this platform to discuss their message to do so. And to go one step further, to make things even more interesting and more engaging, I would love it to have 2 individuals, 3 individuals with different opinions and different perspectives to come together on this platform and to discuss one issue and present their sides of the story, so to speak, because I'm genuinely interested in listening to it. I've been on an adventure the last 6 months of just trying to talk to as many people who don't agree with my opinions and to listen to them. And maybe like once or twice things got heated, but not to the point where people were going to fight, just really heated arguments. And the more and more I talked to people who didn't agree with me, the more and more I tried to have genuine discussions. The more and more I spoke to people who didn't agree with me, the more I tried to have genuine discussions with them. And the more I realized it was hard to do that. And so I really want to encourage that more, because it'll make it easier to find the best solution for everyone if we can all sit down and express ourselves, express our opinions, and filter out the things that collide and piece together the proposed solutions and opinions that can mesh together, right? I don't want to get too preachy, because then you're gonna, instead of like taking me seriously, you're gonna be like, oh my God, this guy's like trying to start a cult, because I'm really not. I really want people to be independent in their thought and in their opinions, and be independent in their proposed solutions, because that's extremely important as Chamorros and as Guamanians, right? I want to be inclusive of everyone, because there are many communities on Guam. And regardless of whatever my opinions may be, always know that I'm completely open to listening to you and to what you have to say, because it may influence my opinion and help me change it, or it may strengthen my convictions, right? So with that being said, there was one topic that I wanted to discuss, and I invited some friends to come on the show and talk about. And at first, when they didn't want to, I kind of, was a little disappointed, because I felt like maybe the issue was important enough to discuss, and I felt that they weren't taking advantage enough of an opportunity to do it. But then somebody provided perspective for me, Bert, and I'm grateful for that. He said maybe it's too emotional for them and they're just not ready to discuss it. And I was like, you know what? I didn't even consider that. And you're absolutely right. So it was basically about suicide. Lost another friend recently to suicide, Justin Baldovino. Great individual. had one of the best smiles, like all-time smiles. It should be like memorialized in a painting and put in the Guam Museum, because that smile was so contagious. And I find it ironic that somebody who could bring so much joy to people can be suffering on the inside. And where am I going with this? Well, statistically speaking, men are more likely to, the word is not successful, but achieve, I don't know. How do you say that? Let's not go in that direction then. Statistically speaking, men die more from suicides. And then even within men in general, there are certain demographics within men who attempt suicide more so than others. And it's something that I've already had, I think, 2 or 3 episodes on where we discuss the issue. And there are certain people who want us to start helping to create awareness, and I think that's such a good thing, right? That makes 2 friends for me, in less than 6 months, who have chosen, I guess, peace. And I don't want to necessarily say that in a positive way, because we don't want to lose anyone to the tragedy of suicide. But they have chosen a more peaceful way out. And I guess the question would be, why would somebody choose to do that? It hurts us as friends. I can't imagine what the family is going through. And everybody just wants to kind of, or at least everybody who is affected by it, wants to come together and figure out ways to try and prevent it from happening. And it really is preventable. I'm sure there are many individuals out there who are watching who have had friends in the past say out loud that they're contemplating suicide. I remember the first time I ever experienced something to do with suicide. I had a friend, the only other Chamorro in my school at the time, in Tacoma, Washington. And just an excellent athlete, such a great guy. Again, had one of those really big smiles every time you saw him. And he would tell me about his girlfriend problems, and it was like, okay, we're senior in high school. We have these things, right? Our highs and our lows in our dating. Excuse me. Gas, not tears. Tears may come, who knows? And so he would tell me about his girlfriend issues and stuff, and she lived in a different county, right? And so it made it difficult at the time because we were still in high school. They couldn't see each other regularly. So that doesn't help things along. It's kind of like a long distance relationship. Anyway, fast forward, one day he calls me up. I'm at home. He's at his step-parents' place, and tells me that he is just felt like he hit rock bottom and he wants to commit suicide. And I just remember feeling just so floored with like responsibility and fear and like I don't know. He was a year older than me, so I was a junior at the time. And fortunately for the both of us, my initial reaction was, don't do anything. I'm out the door right now. I'm catching the bus, because I'm not going to, I don't know. I just felt I couldn't say, Mom, I need to use your car, even though I don't have a license, because I got to go check my friend because he's thinking about committing suicide. I don't know. Part of me wanted to not, which is not a good thing. I didn't want to call like 911 to report it. On one hand, right? But on the other hand, it was extremely urgent for me to get to him. So I knew it would take me at least 20 minutes to get to where he was going via the bus. Unfortunately, the bus was running right around that time. The bus stop wasn't too far from my house. Public transportation is awesome, by the way, when you're in high school and you're living in the city. So boom, I catch the bus, I get to his place, and he's like bawling, crying. And I'm glad, only because that means he's still alive. And so I'm doing my best to talk to him. Fortunately, I was able to talk him out of it. But part of that was me basically asking my mom to use her car so that we could go see his girlfriend. He was driving, of course, because he had his license. And that was just a very long night for me. I'm not trying to be selfish. But you have to do what you have to do when your friend needs help, and you at least care for them enough to not want them to take their own lives, right? And that was a really harsh lesson. And so clearly, moving forward from there was like, okay, anytime any other friend expresses themselves in such a way, I need to do everything I can to help them. Fortunately for me, it was a very obvious, I'm going to do something, I need help. Okay, I'll help you. A friend I lost around Christmas time called me up a week before he chose to take his life, asked me for help. However, it wasn't in the obvious, like, I'm thinking seriously about I'm having these thoughts. It was more or less like I'm trying to save my business. Can you help me find something here or there? And I agreed to only, there were conditions because I didn't want to make any promises I couldn't keep. And we had a very long discussion because I genuinely wanted to help this individual. I knew he was a hard worker, and I knew he was trying to provide for his family. And so I was trying, with whatever resources I had, to help this person. And then a week later, I get a call, and I hear that he took his life. And then I felt like an asshole because the week before I realized what that call was about. Of course, it was to help save his business, but it was more than that. And I didn't follow up how I should have. I was texting him, whatever, talking to these people, let you know what they say, whatever. I didn't understand. And I'm not trying to say that I feel like it was my fault. However, I do feel ashamed, or I don't know what the word is yet, but then I just that I didn't do more. Right? I didn't try to talk to him. I didn't say, hey, let's go have a drink, or hey, let's go have coffee, or let's talk about this, tell me what's going on. Because he was a longtime friend of mine, one of the first guys that I met and hung out with when I moved back to Guam in 1995 after graduating high school in Washington State. And I'm not trying to get too emotional or sentimental. I guess I'm not trying, again, to preach to the choir. I wanted to talk about suicide, not just for men, but also for women, for any of the ladies out there watching, right? We can all relate. We have friends, we have family, or maybe we know someone who is affected by the loss of life due to suicide. So what am I trying to say? Maybe, I guess, just educate yourself a little bit more on the topic. And if you have any friends that are down and out and need help. And when I say need help, maybe they just need a friend to call them in and ask them how they're doing, or say, hey, we're going to go to the beach, or hey, we're going to go grab a drink. Want to join us? Sometimes little gestures like that can mean the world and pull them out of a darkness that they may be in. And I guess I'll leave you with that thought. And thank you again for watching and listening. And please, if you have any suggestions or opinion, put them in a comment box, and let's keep having these discussions. And I'll see you in the next episode of Exposé.